Welcome to your deep dive.
Oh,
Today, we're going to be cracking open the book, Yes, 50 Scientifically Proven Ways to Be Persuasive.
okay.
We're going to uncover
Sounds good.
some really cool psychological insights
Yeah.
into how we can get others to say yes.
Right.
Not in a manipulative way, of course.
Right.
We're just talking about the
Go.
science behind influence and persuasion.
Absolutely.
And how these principles
Yeah.
are already at work in our everyday lives.
Yeah, it's all about understanding the science of influence and how these principles are already at work
Right. So we can be,
in our everyday lives.
whether we're aware of
whether we're
them,
aware of them or not.
and use them strategically.
Exactly.
Like this first one, the power of the word because.
Oh, this was a classic.
Okay.
Research shows that simply using because
Okay.
increases the likelihood of someone
Oh, okay.
agreeing to a request.
Okay. But everyone uses because all the time. What's so special about it?
Well, the fascinating part is
Okay.
that it even works when
Hmm.
the reason given is totally obvious
Okay.
or even meaningless.
Wow.
It's as if our brains are wired to
Yeah.
accept anything that comes after
Yeah.
because as a legitimate explanation.
That's wild. Is there like proof that this actually works?
There's a famous study
Okay.
where researchers asked to cut in line
Okay.
at a copy machine
Okay.
when they simply said,
Yeah.
"Excuse me, I have 5 pages.
Okay.
May I use the Xerox machine?"
Yeah.
Only 60% of people agreed.
That makes sense.
Right.
Most people wouldn't want someone cutting in line.
Exactly. But when they added, "Because I'm in a rush,"
Okay.
compliance jumped to 94%.
Wow.
But here's the kicker.
Okay.
When they said, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages.
Yeah.
May I use the Xerox machine because I need to make copies?"
Right.
92% agreed.
Hold on. They got almost the same result just by adding
Right.
because I need to make copies.
Isn't that interesting?
That's like stating the obvious.
Exactly. It highlights
Yeah.
how powerfully because
Yeah.
triggers our compliance,
Yeah.
even when the reason itself
Mm.
adds no real information.
So if I'm asking my boss for a raise,
Right.
I should be using because even if the reason is simply because I'm a valuable employee,
Yeah.
think about it less as stating the obvious
Okay.
and more about triggering that automatic response in your boss's brain.
Mm-hmm.
By providing any justification,
Okay.
even a simple one,
Yeah.
you're making it harder for them to say no.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I can see how this could be
Oh.
really useful. What's next on our persuasion adventure?
Let's talk about how we frame things,
Okay.
specifically through the lens of loss aversion.
Okay.
It's the idea that we're more motivated
Okay.
to avoid losses than to achieve gains.
So it's like the fear of missing out is more powerful
Yes.
than the excitement of getting something new.
Exactly. Think about,
Inexperienced investors who cling to losing stocks,
right.
they're so focused on avoiding the pain
Yeah.
of a realized loss
Right.
that they hold on, even when it might be smarter to sell.
That's so true.
Uh-huh.
I've totally done that before.
Yeah.
How can we use this
Oh,
loss
right.
aversion to actually persuade people?
So imagine you're pitching a new project at work.
Okay.
Instead of just focusing on the potential gains,
Okay.
highlight what the company stands to lose
Okay.
if they don't do it.
So instead of saying this new project could increase our sales by 20%,
Right.
I should say, if we don't implement this project, we risk losing
Right.
market share to our competitor.
Exactly. You're framing it
Yeah.
in terms of potential losses,
Yeah.
which tends to be more motivating than focusing solely
Right.
on
Yeah.
potential gains.
That's such a simple shift in perspective,
Right.
but it makes a huge difference.
It does.
Okay, I'm ready for the next persuasion trick.
It's a
What else do we have?
very powerful one.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of framing,
Okay.
have you ever considered
Mm-hmm.
how the price of one thing can influence our perception of another thing's price?
I'm not sure I follow.
That's called perceptual contrast.
Perceptual contrast.
Think about it like this.
Okay.
If you lift a heavy weight
Yeah.
and then a lighter one,
Okay.
the lighter weight feels even lighter than it normally would.
Okay.
Our judgment is relative to the comparison.
So you're saying that we can use this
You can.
to our advantage in persuasion.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's say you're a salesperson for a software company. You're
Okay.
trying to sell a $500 a month package,
Yeah.
but it feels expensive to the client.
Yeah.
What you could do is start by presenting a $1,000 a month package
Okay.
with all the bells and riffles.
Ah, I see.
Right.
Suddenly that $500 package seems much more
Exactly.
reasonable in comparison.
Precisely.
Hmm.
That first price acts as an anchor.
Right.
making the second option
Mm-hmm.
appear more attractive,
Yeah.
even if it's still a significant investment.
This is making me rethink all my past shopping experiences.
Right.
I can't believe how easily our perceptions are influenced.
I know, it's amazing.
What other sneaky tricks do you have up your sleeve?
Let's talk about
Yeah.
the Head Start effect.
Head Start effect.
This principle is all about how people are more motivated to complete a task
Ooh, I can see how this would be useful.
when they feel like they've already made progress.
Tell me more.
So think about those
Okay.
loyalty programs that give you a head start,
Okay.
like a coffee shop punch card where you need 10 stamps for free drink,
Yeah.
but they give you the first 2 stamps for free.
I love those.
Right.
I feel like I'm already closer to my goal.
Exactly.
Even though I still need to buy 8 more coffees.
And research shows it actually works.
Oh, wow.
A study looked at car wash loyalty programs.
Oh.
One card required 8 stamps for a free wash,
Okay.
while another needed 10 stamps but started with 2 pre-stamped.
Okay.
Both required 8 washes in the end.
Yeah.
But guess which one was more successful?
This is a tough one. I'm going to guess the card with the pre-stamped punches.
Yeah.
Because it makes people feel like they're already on their way to a free wash.
You got it.
Yeah.
Even though both cards required the same amount of effort,
Yeah.
that feeling of progress boosted motivation and made people more likely to complete the card.
That's incredible. So if I want to motivate my team to finish a project, I should emphasize all the steps we've already taken, even if they seem small.
You got it.
Okay.
It's about framing the task as a continuation of progress rather than starting from scratch.
Yeah.
This can be a powerful tool
Okay.
in encouraging participation and boosting motivation.
Okay. Next up on our list of persuasion techniques,
Okay.
mirroring and mimicry.
Oh, this one's interesting.
This one sounds a little sneaky.
It might seem that way,
Okay.
but it taps into our deep-seated need for connection.
Okay.
Subtly mirroring someone's body language
Okay.
or speech patterns can actually increase liking and build rapport.
Really? Is there any research to back this up?
Oh, there's tons.
Oh, okay.
There's a fascinating study where waitresses who subtly mimicked their customers' behaviors, like their posture or the way they spoke, received significantly larger tips than waitresses who didn't.
So it's not about blatantly copying someone.
Right. It's not about
more about creating
being a copycat, right?
a sense of synchronicity.
Exactly.
Okay.
When someone mirrors us, we subconsciously perceive them as being on our wavelength.
Yeah.
Which leads to feelings of liking and trust.
So if I'm trying to build a rapport with a new client,
right,
I should pay attention to their body language and subtly mirror their movements.
It's not about being a copycat.
Right.
But about finding subtle ways to create that sense of connection.
Yeah.
Maybe you adjust your posture to match theirs or use similar hand gestures. It can make a surprising difference in how people perceive you.
This is giving me so much to think about.
Right.
Okay, what's next?
It's fascinating.
On our journey into the world of persuasion.
Let's talk about a factor that influences almost every decision we make, our emotions.
Oh, this is a big one.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that emotions can cloud our judgment.
It's more than just a feeling, though.
Okay.
Research shows that our emotions can have a measurable impact on our decision-making.
Yeah.
Especially in areas like negotiation and spending habits.
So like when you're feeling super happy,
right,
you might be more likely to splurge on something you don't really need.
It goes both ways.
Okay.
It's not just about positive emotions, though. Studies have shown that sad people are actually more likely to overpay for items.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Or sell things for less than they're worth.
So it's not just about being overly happy or excited. Yeah. Any strong emotion can potentially skew.
And any strong emotion
that can throw us off.
Whether we're negotiating a salary,
right,
buying a car, or making any significant decision, it's crucial to be aware of our emotional state.
Okay.
And ensure it's not unduly influencing our choices.
This is a great reminder to take a step back and assess how I'm feeling before making any big decisions.
Absolutely.
Okay, what else is there to learn about the persuasive power of emotions?
We've talked about how our own emotions can impact our decisions, but what about the emotions of the people we're trying to persuade?
Okay.
There's a fascinating phenomenon known as emotional contagion.
Emotional contagion.
Where we tend to unconsciously mimic the emotions of those around us.
So if I'm trying to persuade someone who's in a bad mood, I might actually end up feeling down myself.
You might. It's not just about catching someone's bad mood, though.
Yeah.
You can work with positive emotions, too.
Oh, okay.
If you approach a situation with genuine enthusiasm and optimism, those around you are more likely to mirror those feelings, making them more receptive to your message.
So it's all about setting the right emotional tone.
Think about it like a feedback loop.
Okay.
Your emotions influence theirs, and theirs influence yours.
That makes sense.
By being mindful of the emotional dynamics at play, you can create a more positive and persuasive environment.
This is such valuable insight. I never realized how much
Right.
our emotions impact our interactions.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Both consciously and unconsciously.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Wow.
There's so much more to discover about the fascinating world of persuasion.
I'm ready for more.
All right.
What's next on our agenda?
Let's broaden our perspective a little bit.
Okay.
And consider how culture influences persuasion techniques.
Okay.
After all, what works in one part of the world
Right.
might not be as effective in another.
That makes sense.
Right.
Different cultures have different values
Absolutely.
and communication styles.
Exactly. For example, in individualistic cultures, like the United States, appealing to personal gain and self-interest tends to be effective.
Okay.
But in more collectivist cultures, like many Asian countries, emphasizing the benefits to the group or community as a whole is more persuasive.
So if I'm trying to persuade someone from a collectivist culture, I should focus on how my idea benefits their team or community, rather than just focusing on their individual gain.
It's all about understanding those cultural nuances and tailoring your approach accordingly.
Wow, I'm already starting to see how much deeper this goes than just using a few catchy phrases or tricks.
It really is.
This is about understanding human psychology on a deeper level.
Exactly. And that understanding is what allows us to communicate more effectively, build stronger relationships, and ultimately achieve our goals in a way that benefits everyone involved.
I love it.
So,
okay, great.
We got a lot more to talk about.
I'm ready.
So let's take a quick break, and we'll be back
that was good.
with more persuasive insights.
Great. Okay, so we've been talking about these big concepts like loss aversion and framing.
Right.
But what about the smaller details? Do those really matter when it comes to persuasion?
Even seemingly insignificant factors can have a surprisingly powerful impact.
Oh, okay.
Take the simplicity of a name, for instance.
You're telling me that a name can influence whether or not someone buys something?
Absolutely.
I'm skeptical.
There's a fascinating area of research called name fluency.
Name fluency.
That suggests exactly that.
Okay.
People tend to favor words or names that are easy to pronounce and process.
So like a company with a catchy, memorable name might have an advantage over one with a more complicated name.
It's more than just a hunch.
Okay.
Researchers have actually tested this with stock names.
Okay.
They found that stocks with easy-to-pronounce names were predicted to perform better in the market.
Really?
And get this.
Okay.
When they analyzed actual stock performance on the New York Stock Exchange, the fluently named stocks actually did outperform the ones with difficult names.
Wait, are you serious? A simple name can impact a stock's performance.
It's incredible, isn't it?
How is that even possible?
Well, it seems our brains equate easy processing with positive attributes.
Okay.
So a fluent name just feels more familiar, more trustworthy.
Okay.
And that subconscious feeling can translate into real-world decisions, even financial ones.
That's incredible. So this name fluency thing, does it apply to other things besides stocks, like products or even ideas?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's research to suggest it applies across the board.
Okay.
Think about those fancy color names for crayons or paint.
Okay.
You know, like laser lemon.
Yeah, laser lemon.
Or is just yellow?
Sounds way more exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all about creating a sense of intrigue and making the product seem more special just by tweaking the name.
So basically, never underestimate the power of a good name.
Exactly.
Whether it's a business, a product, a project,
often overlooked,
a memorable name.
But it's a key insight from the book.
can make a real difference.
These subtle details can tap into
That's so interesting.
our subconscious processing and influence our choices in ways we might not even realize.
All right, this is blowing my mind. What other hidden persuaders are lurking out there in our everyday lives?
Since we're talking about catchy names, let's dive into the world of rhymes and slogans.
Oh, yeah, like those marketing jingles.
Exactly.
Get stuck in your head for days.
Rhymes are inherently memorable.
Right.
But there's also research that suggests rhyming statements are actually perceived as more truthful.
Hold on. Are you saying that if something rhymes,
it's a fascinating phenomenon,
we're more likely to believe it?
A study tested this with rhyming and non-rhyming proverbs.
Oh, okay.
People were more likely to rate the rhyming statements as true, even though they consciously knew that rhyming wasn't an indicator of accuracy.
It's like our brains can't resist a good rhyme.
Right.
No wonder those marketing jingles are so effective.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Think about those classic slogans like Jif, choosy moms, choose Jif.
Yeah.
The rhyme makes it catchy.
Right.
And reinforces that perception of truthfulness.
So if I want my message to stick and be more persuasive, I should try to work in a rhyme or two.
It can't hurt.
Okay.
Whether you're writing a presentation, crafting a marketing campaign, or just trying to make a point in a conversation.
Yeah.
A well-placed rhyme can boost both memorability and believability.
This is making me want to rewrite all my emails and rhyming couplets.
Yeah.
But let's move on. What other persuasive techniques can we borrow from the world of marketing?
We've already touched on perceptual contrast.
Okay.
The idea that our judgments are relative to comparisons.
Yeah. Remind me how this works again.
Okay.
I'm still wrapping my head around it.
So think about a baseball player.
Okay.
Who swings a weighted bat.
Okay.
Before stepping up to the plate.
Yeah.
That unweighted bat feels incredibly light in comparison.
So it's not that the bat physically changed.
Yeah.
It's our perception of it that shifted.
Exactly.
But how can we use this to actually persuade people?
So let's say you're selling a line of products.
Okay.
And you want to make a specific product seem especially appealing.
Okay.
You could present it after discussing a less desirable, more expensive option.
I see. It's like setting a high anchor so that anything after that seems like a better deal.
Exactly. The book gives a great example of a home improvement company that used this to boost sales of their high-end hot tubs.
Okay.
They would start by talking to customers about the cost of adding an extra room to their house.
So suddenly that $10,000 hot tub seems like a steal compared to a $30,000 construction project.
It's all about strategically framing the comparison to influence perception.
This is making you realize just how easily our decisions can be swayed by seemingly insignificant factors.
Absolutely.
It's kind of scary, but also really interesting.
It is interesting.
It is interesting.
It's not always about manipulation, though.
Right.
Sometimes it's just about understanding how our brains work.
Right.
And using that knowledge to communicate more effectively.
That's a good point. It's like with that head start effect we talked about earlier.
Yep.
It's not about tricking people. It's about tapping into their natural motivation.
Exactly. Remember how those car wash loyalty cards with the pre-stamped punches were more successful?
Yeah.
That same principle can be applied to any task or goal.
So if I'm trying to encourage my team to finish a project, I should emphasize all the progress we've already made, even if it's just a few small steps.
It's about framing the task as a continuation of progress rather than starting from scratch.
Yeah.
That sense of momentum can be incredibly motivating.
Okay. I'm starting to feel like a persuasion ninja. Right. What other secret weapons do we have in our arsenal?
Well, this next one might feel a bit like a psychological trick.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of mirroring and mimicry?
Isn't that when you copy someone's movements or speech patterns?
More nuanced than just straight up copying.
Okay.
It's about subtle mirroring
that
creates a sense of rapport.
I remember you mentioned that study about waitresses who mimicked their customers and got bigger tips.
When someone mirrors us, even subtly, we unconsciously perceive them as being on our wavelength. That creates a sense of liking and trust.
So it's not about being a creepy copycat.
Exactly.
It's about finding subtle ways to create that connection?
Think about things.
Yeah.
Like posture,
Okay.
hand gestures,
Right.
or even the pace and tone of your voice.
Okay.
By subtly aligning yourself with the person you're interacting with, you can strengthen the bond and increase your influence.
This is making me super aware of my own body language.
Right.
I'm going to be analyzing everyone's movements from now on.
It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, what's next on our persuasion journey?
Let's talk about a factor
Okay.
that can either be our greatest asset or our worst enemy in persuasion.
Ooh. Okay.
Our emotions.
Emotions are powerful.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But how do they actually play into persuasion?
Well, our emotions can impact our decisions in countless ways.
Yeah.
Think about how differently you might approach a negotiation when you're feeling confident versus when you're feeling anxious.
Yeah, when I'm feeling anxious, I'm more likely to just agree to anything to get it over with.
And on the flip side, when you're feeling overly confident, you might miss crucial details.
Oh, right.
Or make impulsive decisions.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot.
Exactly.
Where you're aware of your emotions, but not letting them control you.
It's about recognizing those emotional influences and making sure they're working for you, not against you.
I remember you mentioned a study where sad people were more likely to overpay for items and sell things for less.
It highlights how any strong emotion whether positive or negative, could potentially cloud our judgment.
So if I'm about to enter a negotiation or make a big purchase, I should take a moment to check in with myself emotionally.
Absolutely.
If I'm feeling overly emotional, maybe it's best to postpone the decision until I've calmed down.
Give yourself the best chance to make a clear-headed decision. Don't let your emotions hijack the process.
Right. This is making me rethink my entire approach to decision-making.
It's powerful stuff.
What else do we need to know about the persuasive power of emotions?
Well, we've talked about how our own emotions can impact our decisions.
Yeah.
But there's also this fascinating phenomenon known as emotional contagion.
Okay, emotional contagion.
Have you ever noticed how you tend to unconsciously mimic the emotions of people around you?
Oh, yeah, totally. Like if I'm hanging out with someone who's in a really good mood, I start feeling happier too.
It's not just about catching someone's good mood. It can work with negative emotions too. If you're interacting with someone who's stressed and irritable, you might find yourself feeling tense as well.
So basically, our emotions are contagious.
Think of it as a feedback loop.
Okay.
Your emotions influence theirs.
Yeah.
And their emotions influence yours.
So if I'm trying to persuade someone who's in a bad mood, I might actually end up absorbing some of that negativity and making the situation worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not always that straightforward. But it's definitely something to be aware of.
Yeah.
By being mindful of the emotional dynamics at play, you can create a more positive and persuasive environment.
So it's not just about what you say, it's about the emotional energy you bring to the interaction.
Exactly. If you approach a situation with genuine enthusiasm and optimism, it's more likely that those around you will mirror those feelings, making them more receptive to your message.
This is giving me a whole new perspective on communication.
It's powerful stuff.
Okay, what other hidden persuaders are we going to uncover today?
We've been talking a lot about individual psychology. But let's not forget about the powerful influence of our social environment.
You're talking about social proof.
Exactly.
The idea that we look to others to guide our behavior.
We're more likely to do something if we see others doing it, especially if those others are people we admire or identify with.
So like if I see a bunch of people lining up for a new food truck, I'm more likely to check it out myself.
Classic example of social proof in action.
Right. It's like we just assume that if other people are doing something.
We assume.
That if others are doing something, that could be worthwhile.
But how can we actually use social proof to persuade people?
Imagine you're trying to get people to sign up for a new initiative at work.
Instead of just presenting the idea yourself, you could get a few influential colleagues on board first.
So if people see that others are already participating, they'll be more likely to jump on board too?
It's about creating that sense of momentum and social validation.
Okay, I'm starting to get the hang of this.
Right.
But what about when you're dealing with people from different cultures?
Yeah.
Does social proof work the same way across cultures?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
While the principle of social proof is pretty universal, how we leverage it might need to be adapted depending on the cultural context.
So what works in one culture
exactly
might not be as effective in another.
For example, in individualistic cultures like the United States, people tend to be more influenced by their own past behavior or the behavior of people they perceive as similar to themselves.
So if I'm trying to persuade an American colleague to do something, I might remind them of a time when they did something similar in the past.
It's about appealing to their sense of consistency and self-reliance.
But what about in collectivist cultures?
Yeah.
How does social proof work there?
In collectivist cultures, people are more influenced by the behavior of their in-group.
Their in-group?
Such as their family, friends, or colleagues.
So if I'm trying to persuade someone from a collectivist culture, I should emphasize what their peers are doing.
Right.
Or what's considered socially acceptable.
Precisely. It's about understanding
within their group
those cultural nuances and tailoring your approach accordingly.
This is making me realize how much cultural awareness is essential for effective persuasion. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Absolutely. By recognizing and respecting cultural differences, we can communicate more effectively and build stronger relationships across cultures.
This is fascinating stuff.
It is.
I feel like I'm learning a new language, the language of persuasion.
A whole new world, right?
What else can we explore?
Well, we've talked about how our emotions and our social environment can influence our decisions.
Right.
But what about our physical state?
Okay.
Can that impact our susceptibility to persuasion?
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Let's start with something we can all relate to. Sleep deprivation.
Oh, I know all about that.
Right.
I'm definitely more susceptible to those late night infomercials
I know.
when I'm exhausted.
Exactly.
Suddenly I need that vegetable chopper.
You need all the things when you're sleep deprived.
All of them.
It's not just about those cheesy infomercials, though. Research suggests that when we're sleep deprived, our cognitive resources are depleted, making us more vulnerable to persuasion in general.
So I'm more likely to believe what someone is saying, even if it's a weak argument when I'm tired.
A study found that sleep-deprived people were more likely to agree with false statements and be swayed by poorly reasoned arguments.
Oh, wow.
It's like our brains...
So it's like my brain is too tired.
Are too tired to critically evaluate...
the
information.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So if I'm sleep deprived
yes,
and I have to make an important decision, maybe it's best to postpone it.
Postpone it.
Until I've had a good night's sleep.
Recognize when you're vulnerable to influence and take steps to protect yourself.
This is such valuable advice.
Right.
I'm definitely guilty of making impulsive decisions.
I think we all are.
When I'm tired.
To some extent.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? Okay, what else can impact?
Can impact our susceptibility.
Our susceptibility to persuasion.
Let's talk about distractions.
Oh, distraction.
I know, right?
I feel like I'm constantly bombarded with distractions these days.
We live in a world of information overload.
It's true.
And all those distractions, whether it's our phones, emails, or just the general business of life, can actually make us more susceptible to persuasion.
Really? I would have thought that being distracted would make me less likely.
You would think so, right?
You can't persuaded.
But when we're distracted, our cognitive resources are divided. Our ability to critically evaluate information is compromised.
So it's like my brain is too busy processing all the distractions to really pay attention to the message being presented.
There's a study that found people were more likely to agree to a request when the requester used an unexpected or distracting element. For example, stating a price in pennies instead of dollars.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
It's like that momentary distraction creates a window of opportunity for the persuader.
While our brain is trying to process the unexpected element, we're more susceptible to suggestion.
So if I'm being bombarded with information or trying to multitask, I need to be extra vigilant about the messages I'm receiving.
Absolutely.
I might be more easily persuaded than I realize.
You're more vulnerable in those moments.
Okay, this is making me want to go on a digital detox.
I know, me too.
But first, tell me more about these hidden persuaders.
Okay.
What else should we be aware of?
Let's talk about technology.
Okay.
It's an incredible tool.
Yeah.
But it can sometimes hinder her ability to persuade effectively.
That seems counterintuitive. I would have thought that technology would make it easier to connect with people and get our message across.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But we're constantly connected through technology.
Yeah.
Yet that very technology can sometimes impede our ability to build meaningful relationships and persuade others authentically.
So it's like we're sacrificing genuine connection.
It is.
For the sake of convenience.
There's a story in the book about a company that implemented a no email Fridays policy. It forced people to interact face-to-face or pick up the phone.
And what happened?
They found that it actually improved communication and teamwork.
That's amazing. It's like we've become so reliant on email that we forget the power of human connection.
Exactly.
There's also research that shows we tend to overestimate how well our emails convey tone and emotion, leading to miscommunications and misunderstanding.
We miss out on all those nonverbal cues that are so crucial for effective communication.
While email and other technologies are incredibly useful tools, it's important to use them strategically and not let them replace those vital face-to-face interactions.
It's all about finding the right balance.
Use technology to your advantage, but remember that genuine connection and nuanced communication often happen best in person.
Sometimes the most persuasive thing you can do is put down your phone, close your laptop, and engage with someone on a human level.
Okay, I'm convinced. I'm putting away my phone right now. What other surprising insights about persuasion are you going to share with me?
Let's talk about caffeine.
Wait, caffeine?
Yes.
You're telling me that a cup of coffee can make me a better persuader?
Not exactly.
Okay.
But research suggests that caffeine can enhance our ability to process persuasive messages.
So if I'm giving a presentation, I should make sure my audience is well caffeinated beforehand.
Well, a study found that people who consumed caffeine were more persuaded by strong arguments than those who hadn't.
So it's like caffeine gives our brains a boost, making us more receptive to persuasive messages.
A cognitive function.
Okay.
But here's the catch. It only works if the arguments are genuinely well-reasoned.
So it's not a magic bullet. Caffeine won't help me persuade people with weak or illogical arguments.
In fact, it might even backfire, making people more likely to scrutinize those flawed.
All right, I've refilled my coffee cup, and I'm ready to dive back into the world of persuasion.
Let's do it.
What other hidden persuaders are we going to uncover today?
Well, we've covered a lot of ground. From the power of because to the subtle influence of our emotions and social environment. But there's one more crucial element we need to discuss.
Okay, I'm all ears. Lay it on me.
Ethics.
Ethics.
Yes.
That's a big one.
It is.
I guess it'd be pretty easy to use these persuasion techniques for manipulative or unethical purposes.
The book stresses the importance of using these tools responsibly.
Okay.
It's not about tricking people into doing things they don't want to do. It's about understanding the principles of influence and using them to create mutually beneficial outcomes.
So it's about persuasion.
Exactly.
Not manipulation.
Think of it as a win-win scenario. You're using your knowledge of persuasion to achieve your goals while also ensuring that the other person feels respected and valued.
You shared that cautionary tale about the gas station owner who jacked up prices during a fuel shortage, right?
Classic example of unethical persuasion backfiring. Sure, he made a quick profit, but in the long run, his reputation was tarnished and his business suffered.
People don't forget when they feel taken advantage of.
Exactly.
That's a good reminder that trust is essential in any relationship.
Absolutely.
Whether it's personal or professional.
If you want to build lasting relationships and achieve sustainable success, you need to operate from a place of integrity and authenticity. Use these persuasion techniques ethically.
Okay.
And you'll be amazed at the positive impact you can have.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired. I'm ready to go out there and be a persuasion ninja for good.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Duly noted. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of persuasion, any final thoughts or advice you want to leave our listeners with?
The key takeaway is awareness.
Okay.
Be aware of the countless ways we're constantly being influenced, both consciously and unconsciously.
True.
Pay attention to those subtle cues and triggers that shape our decisions.
It's like we've been given a secret decoder ring.
Exactly.
To the human mind.
Now that you're aware of these principles, you can start using them to your advantage in both your personal and professional life.
Not just to get people to say yes, but to communicate more effectively.
Exactly.
Build stronger relationships and create positive change.
Persuasion isn't about manipulation or trickery. It's about understanding the human psyche and using that knowledge to connect with people on a deeper level.
This has been such an eye-opening experience. I'm already noticing these persuasive techniques at play everywhere I look.
And that's just the beginning. There's so much more
to
explore and discover about the fascinating world of influence.
I can't wait to learn more. So on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you.
Likewise. I hope our listeners are feeling as empowered and enlightened as we are. Now, for our final provocative thought. If we're constantly being bombarded with persuasive messages, even when we're not aware of it, how can we cultivate a sense of critical thinking?
That's a great question.
And make sure we're making choices that are truly aligned with our own values and goals. Food for thought. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.